It's starting to look like we're climbing a mountain with an avalanche coming in the opposite direction.
Can we fix this poor away form? The answer very resoundingly is no.
Our away record, when we concede a goal, is a little short of pathetic, really. 2 wins since Boxing Day 2023. In that first half, it was like Plymouth knew the game kicked off at 12:30 and we still thought it was a 3 o'clock kickoff. Their defence dominated our forwards, their forwards dominated our defence, and their midfield absolutely overran our midfield.
Unless we can find some sort of spark, and that probably won't come from just what we've got now, then it would have to come from the transfer window.
He's entering an F1 track with a micro machine, isn't he?
It doesn't seem rocket science, but we're trying to make it more difficult than it is.
479 Luton passes yesterday were attempted. Where the problem lies though, Jimbo? Kearley, Longwick, Anderson and Naismith played 258 of them. As I sit here right now, as sorry as this is as a fan to say, do I think Luton are going to get promoted this season? I'll take chance in hell do I think Luton are going to get promoted. The last 5 seasons, the minimum wins of any team in the top 6 in this league, 21. We still need to win 10 out of 19 games. For the second time in 2026, the Town went to Devon and came away with a 1-0 defeat when we lost by that scoreline to Plymouth Argyle at Home Park on Saturday. Alongside me to reflect on another disappointing afternoon is the Lutonian journalist James Cunliffe. Jimbo, kind of feels like we've been here before all too recently.
It does. Shall we replay an old episode and go to the pub?
Do you know what? It's a blinding idea, that. Absolutely. We won't. But here's the intro. Hello everyone, welcome along to the latest episode of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast, the award-winning, longest-running Luton Town podcast. This season the show is in association with Solid, providing opportunities, provisions and assistance so our academy can fulfil their potential. As you heard me say before the intro, we're looking back at Plymouth Argyle 1, Luton Town 0, and I've got Jimbo alongside me as always to keep me company for the next 45 minutes to an hour or so. Jimbo, as always, I've done the instant reaction. What's your, well, it's slightly longer than 30-hour post-game reaction.
I think you got it fairly spot on, to be honest. I didn't see anything in there that I hadn't seen before, which is the worrying thing, really, on away performances. At least we got an answer very quickly to the title of our previous podcast, which was, can we fix this poor away form? The answer very resoundingly is no. There was, ended up with 3 shots on target, but for a very long time it was all possession and nothing on target. We've seen that lots. They terrorised us. Their 2 forwards, one of which used to be ours. They threw balls in the box. It caused panic. That's where the goal came from. And then from that point, which is one of the worst times for us to concede goals, I didn't think that we'd get back in it.
So, it's a pretty fair assessment. It's certainly an assessment that I know many of you share that were there yesterday, 790 Luton fans, and huge well done. And give yourself an applause if you were one of them, because that's a sensational effort for a team that's won 4 away games all season, not won many more in the seasons prior to that, at the time of day that we all had to leave and everything at the expense and everything else. To have 800 fans all near as damn it down there was a massive kudos to us all, really, and we deserve so much more, as I said in the instant reaction. The first thing, the only thing really, that you had to get right yesterday was you had to match their intensity, their work rate, their intent. I didn't see it. This is 2 games, isn't it? This kind of game. There was the first half yesterday where it was all Plymouth, really, in terms of all of the statistical evidence, all of the 50-50s. I mean, we hear about Jules from Jack quite a lot. to the point where I think a lot of people are getting fed up of hearing the word duels now, but we didn't win many of them. In the first half, it was like a siege, really. Second half, it was a different game because they'd done what they needed to do. They'd gone ahead. I don't know if they're aware of the statistics, Jimbo, but Luton Town have won. The last time Luton Town won an away game when we've conceded a goal was March the 11th at Cardiff. And if they wanted to go further back than that, the second time Luton have conceded a goal and won an away game is Boxing Day 2023, 25 whole months ago, when we won 3-2 at Sheffield United. And I'm sure I don't need to remind you that they had to score goals 2 and 3 in that game for us. Our away form, and don't get me wrong, winning away from home is hard. I'm not saying that winning away from home is easy, but our away record when we concede a goal is a little short of pathetic, really. 2 wins when we've conceded a goal since Boxing Day 2023. When you listen to this, you're going to be listening to this on 26th of January 2026, a full 25 months later.
It's pretty stark, that, isn't it? Really, really. You could see it from a mile off in that game at Home Park that, you talked about duels, but one thing that bugged me the most about it, and there were lots of things that you could probably hang that particular hat on,
Join the club.
Yeah. One thing that bugged me the most was we seemed to lose every single 50-50. We probably even lost it once when it was 60-40 to us. And they just bullied us. They were bigger, more athletic, and stronger, and bullied us. And it's one thing like losing out in those battles, but then when you combine it with your passes going astray, or your pass is not going to the right man, or if they do, the man who receives it, his first touch is awful, which gives them the chance, and their high press was working in effect throughout that first period, and then they changed it to a low block really in the second period, didn't they? Because they'd done the job. And it was just so frustrating. Every single thing, we could not keep the ball, and yet they could. And that is the thing that I've seen so often, and I've seen it in the Premier League, now I've seen it in the Championship, now I've seen it in League One. Teams that can just keep the ball off of us because we are not strong enough, or maybe not good enough in the challenge to get the ball off them, or they'll play nice little patterns around us. Now, there was a period, well, not this home period, I've seen that at home. I don't know why we can't translate that to away. It's completely baffling.
Yeah, one of the reasons why is because at home we do maintain those characteristics, the intensity, the being up for the battle. Yesterday, in that first half, it was like Plymouth knew the game kicked off at 12:30, and we still thought it was a 3:00 kickoff because you forget the fact that they were only 1-0 up at half time. And if I didn't mention this in the instant reaction, I've mentioned it in a few social media posts. It was only 1-0 because of an incredible goal line block from Nigel Longwake. And actually, at this point, I don't like praising effort, right? Because effort should be a non-negotiable, the absolute minimum. But when we were there last year, everyone was turning their back on nothing and no one was throwing anything in front of anything. Yesterday, people threw themselves on the line, their bodies on the line. So kudos to them for that. That's obviously something that we learned from the last time we were down there. Mads Anderson did a similar block in that first half as well. But the amount of times our defence got pulled apart by their front two was just, it was bordering on amateurish, really. Just one pass gets or Tolaj ran short and someone went with him and no one covered the gaping space for either Pepper to run into. Is it Sorinola, the left-sided guy?
Yeah.
Curtis. They had an absolute field day, and it was just, of course, the midfield were overrun. If you stuck Liam Walsh and Jordan Clark on top of each other's shoulders, they still don't see Wiridu or whatever the guy's name would come off the bench in the eyes. You'd like to think you couldn't see it coming. But when the players walked out and shook hands before the game, you only had to look at the physicality and the height of them to see that there was a strong chance that was going to happen because, stature is a big thing in this league, isn't it? And if you can't match that, you're largely going to struggle. And that's 3 weeks on the trot now that we haven't matched teams for stature. But because 2 of the games were at home, we've managed to use our quality and our intimidation factor. You can't use that away from home. 700 of us in a crowd of 15,000, I think. It's no surprise, is it? It's kudos to us that we kept it down to 1. But really, that's, clutching at candy straws there, aren't I?
Yeah, I think you're papering over the cracks of that first half to say it should have been just 1. I mean, really, we should have scraped our way to halftime 0-0, and that probably would have been a decent result. But to get stung like that in stoppage time, and it would have to be an ex-Hatter, wouldn't it, and Brendan Galloway to score the goal, to get stung like that, and you just thought, well, that's the sucker punch that we don't recover from, because the timing of it, we've seen it many, many times before, where a goal just before or a goal just after half time, that's the key one. And, we've gone down to Devon twice now and not scored a goal. At least we had a chance this time, whereas before we didn't have a shot on target at Exeter. But there wasn't enough to say that we had enough of those moments to have got something from the game. We should have. There was a great chance with the very last kick of the game, and we should have, but we didn't. And when you don't, it makes all those other areas of the pitch where you've been insufficient, it just pops out more to you, really. If you'd have got a goal somewhere along the line and stolen a point, you go, "Oh, we played pretty bad there, but hey ho, we got something." But when you don't, then it's all you've got to look at the performance, and the performance was not in the same stratosphere as anything we've played at home recently. And that's really worrying, because, well, we've got a game on Tuesday away, which for me now seems like must win, because if we don't, we're 6 points behind them. There's teams around us catching us anyway, and they've got games in hand. So if you assume that they win those ones, we're even further down the table. But you go to Huddersfield on Tuesday and think, well, where is a win going to come from if you play like that? I don't know. I can't see it.
Yeah, it's not, is it? It's as simple as that. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right with everything you just said there. I mean, the good thing is there's so many teams that got games in hand of us that they can't all win because they'll be against each other. But I mean, again, that's clutching at straws, isn't it? One change to the team from last Saturday, and that saw Casey Palmer come in from the start for Cohen Bramall. Did Cohen Bramall start last Saturday? So much has gone on. It's untrue. It was Cohen Bramall who we came in for, wasn't it? Now, on Casey Palmer, I don't hate the signing. In fact, I quite like the signing. Every time we've come up against Casey Palmer, I've thought, crikey, there's a useful player there. And I'm never against strengthening on what we've got. Now, if Casey Palmer is a direct replacement for Zach Nelson, given that Zach Nelson left this week and Casey Palmer's come in, I don't think it's too far off the mark to suggest that is the case. Then I think Casey Palmer, as of Sunday the 25th of January, is an upgrade on Zach Nelson. 5 years' time, probably not. But right now, I think he is. But Zach Nelson wasn't in the starting lineup. So there was no necessary need to put Casey Palmer in the starting lineup, because when you put him in and you put him in as a 10, where does Gideon Kadir play? Well, Gideon Kadir plays on the wing. Now, for me, many of you out there, because many of you questioned it to me yesterday and have done on social media where you're not there yesterday, Kadir as a 10 is a non-negotiable right now. That's where all of the work is doing. The reason why people are coming round to the school of thought that Wells is doing a good job for the team is because Kadir can go past him and they can link up well, a la the winning goal against Stevenage. Palmer didn't go past Wells once yesterday, nor will he ever go past Wells. It's not his game. His game is to get on the ball and do what he did in the second half, drive with it, and hit a pinger from 30 yards that on another day is going to go in the top corner. But the team appeared to me, Jimbo, to suffer massively as a result of that change. Kadir was out on the left. Now, bear in mind, go back 2 weeks to Stevenage. Kadir was on the right in that game, and Lawrence was on the left. Kadir's on the left this time. Lawrence is on the right. I'll come on to Lawrence in a minute. Then you've got Shaden Morris and Cohen Bramall on the bench as a result of Casey Palmer coming in. I don't know. It all felt a bit... It wasn't broke. Why have we fixed it?
Exactly that. I mean, I even asked Jack that question in the pre-match about how you possibly get Casey Palmer in, because the midfield had performed so admirably in the home games that we've seen recently, that I said those words: "If it ain't broke, don't fix it." I even said it. I alluded to that in the preview podcast. I don't think you need to change that team because that midfield was playing so well. And for me, you don't take Cohen Bramall out. He should be the first name on the team sheet with Gideon Kodja. I learnt this by the way. Apparently his name is pronunciation. I've been getting it all wrong. It's Kodja. I got a phonetic pronunciation. This is a sidebar that, and I was trying to say it towards that phonetic pronunciation, but even I was getting that wrong, but then the phonetic pronunciation is wrong. So I've been told on Friday, Kodja. So I'll try and get that right.
Right. We'll go with that. Like Jimbo said, we got given a audio document, didn't we, of all the players' names, and it was definitely Kadir on that. So if it's Kodja, we'll go with Kodja.
But my point being, him and Bramall, you've got to put them, first names on the team sheet in the positions they were playing in those home games when that switch was so devastating of Kodja coming inside. So into the central position, that is, and playing that 10 position. So you don't change that for me. I don't know how long Palmer was in training, but they alluded to the fact that he did his medical earlier in the week, so presumably had a week, and maybe that's fine. But I'd bet him in a bit more sparingly to start with because of how well we played. Now, if we'd have played terribly, and you got no reason not to change it, because you could say we were terrible, but we weren't. We were good at home. The midfield was one of the main reasons why we were good at home, and you changed that, and we saw that it just felt disjointed.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, you knew it was going to be a long afternoon pretty early on in the piece, really. I mean, I had absolutely no idea how Sorinola hasn't scored early on in that first half. He's cut back inside from a wonderful pass from Curtis. Again, our defence just parted like the Red Sea, and he's got half of home park to run into. He cuts inside, shoots, Kearley takes some of the pace off it, and Longwake, unbelievable block, like a genuinely unbelievable block. I mean, he was up for goal of the month in December. He should be up for save of the month in January. It was unbelievable. And then, Curtis, who was a growing figure in the game, to be fair, in the first half, he bossed the game, didn't he? Long range shot that Kearley's done unbelievably well to get a fingertip on and get it onto the crossbar. He's got absolutely no right to save that whatsoever. And it just kept on coming and coming and coming, didn't it? Tolaj was just unbelievable. I mean, it's the first time I've seen him. I wasn't at the home game, but you waxed lyrical about him in the home game, and I can see why. I mean, what he was doing at Aldershot and Port Vale earlier on in his career, I mean, he looks a level above League One to me.
Well, yeah, and Plymouth are suddenly on a run where it looks like they might be, in the promotion mix. But even if they don't go up, I don't see him being at home park next season, because he's that good. He's in every aspect of striker play that you want, he does it exceptionally well. And every time we come up against one of these teams that has a good, dominant, pain in the bum number 9, it lays bare what we haven't got. And I know, and you've outlined it very clearly, what the Wells role is. But, and he's played it pretty good this month. He's, I have to give him his due. But then you get the chance, and you don't take that chance, then the main reason that you're there for, as a striker, as a number 9, you're not fulfilling that role, which is to stick it in the net.
I'll repeat myself again. Wells is playing the role that Wilshere wants him to play. Do you know what? Tolaj played that role. The amount of times he came short for a pass and dragged the defender out. The difference between Wells and Tolaj, and I'm only seeing Tolaj yesterday, he might just have been on a going day, but from everything I'm hearing and seeing in League One, I suspect it's not. Once he's come short and linked the play, he then gets his backside in the box, and he's got the aerial threat and the physicality to be a force from the ball that's coming in the box, which Wells hasn't got. It's no slant on the key Wells. He's what, 5'6", if he's on high heels. up against beefcake defenders, he has not. That's not his game. But Tolaj, he can do the both. And it makes you wonder, and I said it in the instant reaction, I'm jealous of watching two strikers, one of which, annoyingly, like you've already referenced in this podcast, was on our books at one stage, doing that job to perfection, where we've got one who can only do half the job. Now, in the Championship, Wales will be fine. The ball stays on the ground an awful lot more in the Championship, but we're not in the Championship. We haven't.
Well, no, and also we've set up with wingers that should be getting. They didn't do it yesterday, but they should be getting to the byline, crossing it in. And we're set up for a big dominant number 9 to be in there and sticking it in the onion bag, but we haven't got one at the moment.
And that's the thing, we didn't recruit Wales for the Championship. We've recruited Wales to play in League One. And there is no part of, once he's laid the ball off, that he's equipped to this side. Will Al Hamadi be that? Possibly. I've not followed Ali Al Hamadi's career in great detail. I've seen him play 30 minutes on the left wing against Forest Green, so I can deduce that he's not a left winger. I can tell you that for nothing. And I've seen him play 5.5 minutes at Stockport in a game where, the intensity had long since disappeared by the time he come on the pitch. If he can do that, absolutely fantastic. If he can't, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I'm a little bit worried. Well, that we're too lightweight away from home anyway, Jimbo. I mean, the spine of that side yesterday is just, that lightweight. We got dominated. Their defence dominated our forwards. Their forwards dominated our defence. And their midfield absolutely overran our midfield. It's generally a combination that's going to lead you to defeat. And literally the only positional part of the pitch where we excelled over them was the goalkeeper. And that's never a good thing either. So something's got to change away from home because, I've referenced those stats earlier on in the podcast. 2 wins away from home when we've conceded a goal, and we always concede goals away from home against anyone who's half decent, in 25 months. And now, we've not played top sides all of the time. Yeah, okay, half of that was in the Premier League season, but we still went to struggling sides in amongst that run. We went to Burnley, couldn't keep a clean sheet. They came down with us. We went to the likes of Bournemouth, conceded 4. They weren't too far away from us. We went to Everton, conceded in the cup. And I should say that those league games only that I've gone through with all that. And even last season, we went to Plymouth, who finished below us. And there were only 2 teams who did that. And we conceded a goal and lost. And, Cardiff was obviously the other one. It's not all top sides that this is happening against. And it's just 4 away wins this season. They've all been without conceding a goal. Concede a goal this season, we've not won an away game. Are we going to go to Huddersfield on Tuesday and keep a clean sheet?
Well, I don't see it. A little crystal ball, I'm not seeing it, to be honest.
So we're not getting any closer to the playoffs on Saturday then. On Tuesday, are we? And go back to what we've been told, and we haven't been told too much, admittedly, this season. And again, it's starting to frustrate people. It's now 3 months since the Content Creator Day. That was the last time that we genuinely heard from everyone involved at the club. But what we've heard, we heard Gary Sweet say that promotion is the bare minimum this season. So that's 6th place as a bare minimum. And then he doubled down and he said in the Boxing Day programme notes that transfer activity in January is going to be there with an aim to improve our promotion prospects. Well, we've got, by the time you listen to this, 8 full days of the transfer window left. We definitely ain't ticked that box. We definitely haven't ticked that box. That's not to say that we can't, and we'll, as we always do, we'll judge the transfer window when Sky slam it shut. But right now, we've not improved our promotion credentials. We've played 4 league games in January. And if you go back to the time that we started talking about the transfer window, around the time that those comments came out, and you said that all the business will be done late, and you look like you're being proved right, we've played 4 games this month. We've got 4 points. That's 8 points that we've left out to dry. We're not 8 points off promotion. No, I wouldn't have expected us to win all 4 games of football. But 4 points from 4 games ain't getting you nowhere.
Well, no, we're still in this territory of putting ourselves in a good position to try and launch an assault on those playoffs, and then playing like we did at Plymouth and not coming really, apart from Moses got a chance, not coming close to getting a goal and getting a point. And then you lose that momentum in that push because Huddersfield go and then beat Bradford, and then all the other teams around us are starting to pick up, and we've got games. We've played more games than most of them around us. So it does feel like it's broken record territory, really, because I'm talking again about 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but not really going anywhere. And that is probably where we are. That is what we are at the moment. Unless we can find some sort of spark, and that probably won't come from just what we've got now. Otherwise, it would happen, wouldn't it? Away, probably. Maybe at home, fine. Away, let's focus on away. Then it would have to come from the transfer window. Now, it's been deathly quiet, hasn't it? So quiet. Even the rumour mill is not really going around, which I don't really have a problem with in the old school way Luton used to do deals. You think Ross Barkley came in, nobody knew about that. We'd like to. I think people need to hear something. They need to feel like something's happening and progress is happening. Because if we get to the end of the window and no more players are signed from here, then I think we just have to say, well, this is where we're going to finish, mid-table.
Yeah. I mean, my comments just now were based on promotion because that's what we're told is what we're being judged on this season. Minimum expectation promotion. So you've got to finish 6th to get there. Improve our promotion chances in the transfer window. As I sit here right now, as sorry as this is as a fan to say, do I think Luton are going to get promoted this season? Not a clue, not a chance. Not a chance in hell do I think Luton are going to get promoted. Because even if we do get in the playoffs, we're going to have to go away to someone.
Well, yeah, and if we scrape into the playoffs, we'll be away first. So we'll lose that one, presumably, put a great big pressure on us to do something at Kenilworth Road, and it will just be...
And we are only making the playoffs. But if we make the playoffs...
Automatic playoffs.
That disappeared the other night.
Has gone. It's gone.
Yeah, Lincoln are now 13 points ahead of us. We ain't catching... We are not catching Lincoln. Even if they absolutely melt down, we're not catching Lincoln. And as you've already said, Jimbo, Bradford, Bolton, Stockport, and now Huddersfield above us are all picking up points as well. So, I don't see us getting promoted, which is annoying, really, with 19 games left of the season. Another reason why I don't see us getting promoted is because I've had a look. You know how I like my history, Jimbo. The last 5 seasons, the minimum wins of any team in the top 6 in this league, 21. And there's only one of them. Every other team of the other 29 teams in those 5 seasons have all had at least 23 wins to finish in the top 6. Luton currently sit on 11 wins. So to get to the bare minimum, 21, and this might be an absolutely honking League One this season, that 21 is enough. We still need to win 10 out of 19 games. If I offered
Puts an awful lot of pressure.
If I offered you red or black on 10 wins or not, or you're probably not convinced that we're going to get 10 wins, are you?
No, I'm not. It puts a tremendous amount of pressure on the home games then, and that will come again at the weekend, I suppose.
Should just add we've only got 9 home games, so we are, if to match these 21, we are going to have to find an away win by hook or by crook somewhere along the line, and win all 9 at home.
When you put it like that, yeah, and that is a decent shout as to why the business probably had to have been done earlier. And I understand that it's difficult, and
other teams aren't finding difficulty though.
Well, exactly. That's the thing. That is the thing.
We're going to come up. We're going to come up on Tuesday night against Plymouth's former right back. Where's the position for? When did Hashioka come into the club? January 23? No, 24. January 24. So 5 transfer windows ago at the end of this one, we've been crying out for a right back. We are 7 days from the end of this transfer window, and I shouldn't laugh. I can only laugh because you do that or you cry. We still have not got a right back. And I know Gary sat in front of me and he said, we've got players who can play right back. Yeah, we've got players who can play right back, but we haven't got an actual right back, save of Rue Waters, who 2 managers don't seem to trust.
Yeah. I've said that for now, and it was a for now. I don't mind Longwake playing there because we've got a good winger. You put him in front. Now we're playing the 4. But we want a specialised right back, don't we? I mean, the last time we were here, we had a best in class right back and a left back, and we won the league. That wasn't the only reason, but
they were the reason.
Well, yeah, I mean, because then I suppose we went up to the Championship, lost them both, and the manager, and then we weren't very good. So
they went for 12 million, didn't they? Days after we got promoted.
Yeah. I don't want to see a centre back playing right back. It's obvious, isn't it, to everybody?
Well, listen, I've not followed League One in detail. So people out there, if you have done, if you can find me a team that's got promoted out of this division with square pegs in round holes, then please tell me, because I need all the encouragement I can get right now. But generally, the promotion teams that I've seen are Luton, and I only follow Luton in terms of teams who get promoted, have all had specialists in specialist positions. Maybe someone's got to fill in for 6 weeks somewhere along the line because someone's injured or suspensions have happened and things like that. But by and large, specialists in specialist positions. So was JJ a left back? No, he wasn't. But he could fill in there because Dan Potts got injured, and do you know what? As luck would have it, he turned out into one of the best left backs in the division. That's not happening right now. And yeah, I mean, still 7 days for them to come out of this transfer window with our promotion hopes bettered, or whatever the phrase was. I can't remember what it is. I'm paraphrasing it.
But now, and you have mentioned this again as well, they have to come in. They have to hit the ground running. So we can't be signing anyone once injured. I think people will go absolutely spare if that happens anyway, because of past history, very recent, and some players that are still injured. And then they're going to have to come in and hit the ground running and be, absolutely fantastic players to pick those results up that we need to even scrape into the playoff mix. So, by not doing those deals earlier, if they were there to do, or looking for those players earlier, we've wasted those 5 games after Huddersfield. And we haven't got the results we wanted. So it's really starting to look a bit like the steepest mountain possible.
Well, yeah, that's exactly it, isn't it? It's starting to look like we're climbing a mountain with an avalanche coming in the opposite direction, and eventually the mud's going to swallow us up, isn't it? And it did yesterday, didn't it? Eventually the avalanche of shots on our goal ended up in the back of the net. Now, the most annoying thing of this goal, Jimbo, is come from our bloody free kick. It's come from our free kick. We've got absolutely happy days. We're going into injury time in first half. We've got a free kick in a really dangerous area, and Liam Walsh, the one time that we need a decent delivery from him, and it's just unfortunate because his delivery over the last 3 or 4 weeks has been absolutely, chef's kiss. It's a honking free kick. Don't beat the first man. Gets headed away. And from there onwards, there's a siege of green heading in the direction of our goal. Kudos to us. We get back, block it, get it behind for a corner. Now, I'd noticed this on a few set pieces prior to it, Jimbo, but I can't remember if it was the first corner or the second corner they had. But when you're sat behind the goal, obviously you see everyone right in front of you. They're right up close and personal. At the back stick, we had Nicky Wells marking Wiredu, who's man-mountain of a bloke, 6'2", 6'3". It's a height mismatch. And then further behind him, we had Nicky Wells marking Bim Peppel. That's striker Bim Peppel. 6 foot, whatever he is, height mismatch. So if that ball come over to the back stick, they're winning the header. There's no way in this world Wells or Walsh are jumping above them 2 guys. Save for the fact that those 2 guys attack the ball as well, whereas our 2 guys, they're not built to attack the football. Now, as luck would have it, none of them really did get to the back post, and the one that did get close to it, Keeley managed to get to and punch away. So we didn't get punished in that route. But how on earth can we set a team up at the back post where most corners are leading to these days? If you watch a Luton corner, it always goes to the back post. And we've got a 6-inch size differential on 2 different players. We just saw against Lincoln someone at the back post heading the ball across and scoring, and we've gone and done the same thing. Listen, he's devoid in height anyway, isn't he, Wilshere? Because there's no tall players in this side. We were going to concede on a corner yesterday. Whether we conceded on a corner at the back stick or we conceded how we did with Tolaj coming off of the front post head in a brilliant save from Kearley, he deserved one of his defenders to be alert and clear the ball out of danger. But of course they weren't. Left back was alert to hook the ball in. Shouts of a high boot. I mean, how can it not be a high boot? Everyone around's about 4'5", aren't they? But we were always going to concede chances from a corner yesterday. I've mentioned in this podcast, God knows how many times in the last month, about giving away dangerous free kicks. Corners are no different. We can't defend them. We can't defend our box.
Yeah. It's League One basics, isn't it? I mean, if you're at the elite end of football, which I know Jack Wilshere has been in his playing career, you can play a smaller side against a bigger side. The Barcelona side of it, Iniesta and Xavi, I don't mean to just use them because they were obviously one of the world's best teams, one of the best teams I've ever seen play football. But that level of football, you're not coping with balls getting bombarded into your box all the time, or at that stage in football anyway. Now it's becoming a bit more physical in the top division, so it might be changing now. But that you could cope with that, fine. The ball was on the deck a lot of the time, and they were the best players at playing the ball on the deck, fine. That's not and never has been League One in England. We had this against Lincoln as well, and somehow we came out okay against it, but it was a constant worry from set pieces. They were far more bigger than us, and they bullied us at times, but we stood up to it. But this time, it was a bombardment that we couldn't. And yeah, I was sitting there thinking, maybe I shouldn't have thought it because it jinxed. So just please don't concede now because this is going to be absolutely the worst time to concede a goal. And then they did, and it's the stats you said, but also just experience tells us that's us sunk.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, how we were still in the game as long as we were is incredible. Last 5 goals that Luton have conceded. Then let's quickly go through them. Lincoln header at the back post. Lincoln header at the back post comes across, bounces into someone in the 6-yard box, goes in the back of the net. Swindon cross from the left-hand side, goes straight in. Swindon corner that gets flicked on, spilled at the back stick, guy scores, and then yesterday. There is a correlation here. Now, if we want to improve our away form, and okay, 4 of those were at home, I get that. But if we want to improve our form anywhere, really, because we don't score that many goals, we're scoring goals at home, and that's fantastic. And let's hope that continues, otherwise we are royally screwed. Sort that out. Find some people who can defend crosses. Well, we clearly haven't got them. We haven't got them. Guess what? We're in a month where we can find people. If we come out of this window without dominant defenders, you could almost argue we don't deserve to go up.
Well, the trouble is, it's not even the position we need to be filling. If you're talking like we've got a limited amount of time to get some players in, you wouldn't even be looking at those areas, would you? Because we all know that we or maybe right back, but I guessing you're talking about centre backs that can head it away, are you? Even though Mads Anderson's been pretty good at that.
Well, I'm talking about anyone who can head it away right now, to be honest. I don't care what position you are. I mean, Tolaj headed a couple of corners away from their goal yesterday. Just someone who can physically demand the ball. Someone who will throw themselves at the ball when it comes into the box. I hate going back on the past and all of this, that and the other. Someone like Sonny Bradley who would win any header that come in his direction. Someone like Matty Pearson. There's a reason why Matty Pearson was given that Magic Hat song. Because if the ball come in his box, he would go over broken coals for it to get the ball out. Burning coals, not broken coals. He would go over it to get that ball out. I don't see it. I just don't see it. And to a lesser extent, like I say, Jack's coming under a little bit of pressure, and there was a bit of anger and stuff directed in his direction yesterday, which is, maybe uncalled for, although I thought his team selection yesterday was questionable, and I thought the substitutions were far too late in coming when they did come. So from that point of view, that's okay. But in terms of the race he wants to drive, the football he wants to play, he's entering an F1 track with a micro machine, isn't he? And it's not going to beat your McLarens of this world.
But maybe, I don't know whether it got lulled into the sense that the home form and the way we played, which was fantastic. And I said that at the time, if we're going to play like that, sign me up. I want to see that. And thinking you can translate that away. But I don't think so, because he was talking in the pre-match about knowing that they still got work to do away to try and figure it out. That hasn't changed because they haven't managed to figure it out. I think it probably just comes down to what you were saying in that instant reaction, really. You've got to want it and fight for it first. What I was seeing was that they weren't able to, and that was the killer.
Yeah, it was, yeah. I mean, even after half-time, not a great deal's changed, has it really? I mean, I've absolutely no idea how it wasn't 2-0 up. I think it was Tolaj who put a header wide from a cross when he was in front of goal. And, well, I mean, the best pass of the afternoon from either side was Liam Walsh. Unfortunately, he stuck Bin Pepple clean through on goal. I mean, it wasn't a pass, it was a tackle, but he was trying to tackle Calvin Naismith, wasn't he? Either way, Bin Pepple went clean through on goal. Huge credit to Kearley for coming out and closing that down and forcing him to curl it wide of the post and in, and he obviously didn't get enough curl on it, get it inside the post. But this is all happening without any changes to the team. At that point, they were only going to score the next goal. Now, I've not really said too much about Emilio Lawrence Jimbo. He's a young kid. I try and look at 3 or 4 games before I judge someone, particularly in the situation that we're in. But when you factor in who's left the club and you factor in who's sat on the bench and he's starting the game, he is going to need to start producing some seriously greater end product than what he is doing, because particularly away from home, and yesterday was his first away game, so, I'll hold judgment in complete criticism there, but there wasn't anything. There wasn't anything. Now, on the bench, you've got Shaden Morris, who recently has been on fire, who's got pace to burn, even if his end product doesn't happen on the afternoon. He's got pace to burn, scares defenders with his pace. They know all about his pace. You've got Cohen Bramall on the bench as well. And I watched the Southampton-Portsmouth game this afternoon, as I'm sure many of you did, and there was a fella playing for Portsmouth called Millie Ali, who looks quite useful. You look down his career bio and, well, he's a Luton Town player. So when you factor in that he's ahead of all 3 of those, we need a greater output than I've checked this with 2 stats sites, so I'm assuming that they're right. He's played 179 minutes of league football. You can't get stats on the trophy. Of league football, 179 minutes. So we'll call it 2 games. He's played 2 games of league football, 5 shots, 2 shots on target, 5 crosses. That's his output. I'm sorry, but if we're going to sort the away form out, we've got to start playing 11v11. And that output's got to be improved upon, particularly when, if he's going to play on the right wing with those 2 on the bench, Ali starring for Portsmouth and Kadir now having to be wide as well, we are wasting a position there. And you go to any team in this league with a wasted position, least of all we've got another one behind him as well, in terms of a square peg behind him, we're going to get found out. And it just so happened Plymouth were in good form and were more than up to the job of beating us. Huddersfield will be same.
It's just not a position we needed to fill, really, ultimately, is it? We've got, you mentioned all the players there on the bench. Don't need to replace them. I'd rather see them start. They're seasoned men's footballers that have played it. This is his first crack at men's football, and I don't really understand it myself. It's, of all the players and positions we need to fill to try and improve, we're stacked in that area.
I mean, if we are filling that position, the person coming in has to be better than what we've got. Now, any of those people I've named, have they played 2 games with that output? I don't think they have. Cohen Bramall puts 5 crosses in 10 minutes. Let alone 2 games. Now, whether someone's on the end of it, well, that's another positional problem. That's not the problem of Cohen Bramall. He must have put in 12 crosses at Exeter alone. Half of them are still travelling, it must be said. But, it's a numbers game, isn't it? You and me, being old school, we don't take much notice of the numbers. Everyone involved in football now do. every time something happens in a game of football, one of the dugouts goes and looks at an iPad. It's got all the numbers on it. It's a numbers game. 2 whole games of football, spread over 3 games admittedly. 5 crosses, 5 shots, two shots on target, no goals, no assists. That and again, he's a young lad, and I get all of this, but when you're in Manchester City's academy, there's no real circumstance for losing. There's, whereas in League One, if you lose a game of football, 3 points means everything. If you lose games of football and you don't achieve your aim in League One, someone's going to cop it. Your manager will cop it. The tea lady will cop it because the budget gets cut. So there are consequences to everything that you do in League One, which there isn't in academy football. If you lose in academy football, oh, well, he's still a good player. We're still going to make it in the first team. Crack on. Not the case now. That output now, and he's been here a fortnight, I think it's fair enough time to judge the guy. I'd be expecting a lot more. And what's worse, I looked down at him a couple of times yesterday. Shoulders slumped. Looks like he didn't want to be there. Now in this league, if you show weakness to someone, they are all over you. Either in the stands, on the pitch, they're all over you. At 12:30, when people have got up in the middle of the night, spent £100 to go and watch it, the very least you can do is look up for it, I'm not saying he wasn't, but optics are everything.
Wait, they are, but the whole team couldn't cope, really. So, yeah.
But the others have got a bit more numbers to back them up, haven't they, in these games?
I take your point. I don't understand the signing in particular, really, because of the amount of players we've got in those positions that were performing well. The wings are not a problem, are they? We're getting crosses in, like you mentioned. We've got nobody in there converting them. That's obvious. We need somebody there a number 9, a Tolle sort of player that's can get on the end of them. I mean, it doesn't seem rocket science, but we're trying to make it more difficult than it is.
I mean, is it too late to give Santa Claus a ring and see if he can deliver us Laurent Tolle before the transfer window closes? I mean, that geezer's way out of our financial league now. That's pie in the sky. I just finished with the Lawrence talk, Jimbo. If Millie Ali had delivered 5 shots, 2 shots on target, and just 5 crosses in 3 matches or 2 full appearances, I suspect he wouldn't be in the team. Therefore, on Tuesday, I would imagine there are a few people going to Huddersfield who would expect him not to be in the team. Now, I'm not. I fully expect him to play. But they're well within their rights to question why he would be in the team with those numbers. That's not to say that he can't be on the bench and do the Shaden Morris role. No problem with that. But, we are supposedly in the middle of a promotion fight. You bring someone in January, you expect better numbers than that. Look, there's still time for him to improve. There is. But games are coming thick and fast.
Well, it shows exactly what we need the players that we hope are going to be coming in the next week, that they need to be hitting the ground running. And those stats don't suggest that he is. So we can't afford to give people development, really. It'd be nice. That's what, everybody likes a good success story when that happens. But you've outlined very clearly that the expectation is promotion. We can't break into the playoff at the moment. And every time we try, we balls it up and then we're further behind than when we started. We've got to go to Huddersfield now and beat them just to be where we were before we went to Plymouth.
Absolutely. Yep. We did improve the longer that game went on. I think it does have to be matched with the declaration that started to come out in cricket in terms from Plymouth. What we had, we'll keep. But there were some chances. I referenced it in the instant reaction, and why I described it to Barnsley was the exact same chance. Jordan Clark sends Nicky Wells clean through on goal. At Barnsley, he tried to lift it over the goalkeeper, didn't get it high enough, goalkeeper smothered it, defender cleared it off the line. So you're thinking this time round, if you're going to do the same finish, and I understand that this is all split-second things, and you haven't got time to think, what happened 3 months ago, etc., etc., etc. You would expect the very least he would do if he chipped the goalkeeper or lobbed the goalkeeper or lifted it over the goalkeeper like he did, for it to go over the crossbar rather it to be close enough for the goalkeeper to get a hand on, for a defender to jog behind the goalkeeper and get it off the line. But no, identical finish. Goalkeeper got a hand on it, defender cleared it. As he wheeled away, I don't know why he was celebrating because it was never going in. He looked to the linesman as if to say, "Oh, please tell me I was offside," because he knew that he'd effed up a major chance.
Yeah, and this is a point of the confidence of our strikers, because Yates was put through in the trophy game and didn't make the most of that.
Stevenage game, not trophy game, Stevenage game.
Yeah, sorry.
They blend into one, don't they?
They do. Yeah, and again, you get put through, you need to be sticking those away, particularly when the chances are so scarce as they are.
On the road, you have to score that chance.
Absolutely. The longer it goes on where they're missing these chances, it will affect the confidence even more. I mean, he gave an interview recently, didn't he, after he scored that banger the other day, about being rock bottom after missing those 2 penalties. It just, when you've got one striker that's out of confidence, bad enough, but you hope that others can come in. But when you've got the only 2 strikers you've currently got fit, both well out of confidence for a long time now, we're halfway into the season and they haven't really had the chances and they haven't had the goals, and it's that, their output is not good enough, really. Yeah, I mean, there was no other outcome after that point. It had to go in.
Yeah, it did, yeah. You kind of felt as Will, to be fair to Jack, eventually substitutions arrived. Bramble came on, Morris came on, and, he did try different things, but going into injury time, quite how there was only 6 minutes of it, I'm not overly sure, but going into injury time, Nigel Longwake went up front. We are going to get to Mads Anderson going up front. I'm absolutely convinced of that. But it was Nigel Longwake who went up for the long balls on this occasion. And, just prior to him winning the one header that he won when he went forward, I mean, how have they not made it 2-0? Tolaj, who's been absolutely brilliant all night, has torn the people that were still at the back a new one, and he shot, and Kearley's made an incredible save. Now, if Clark had scored in injury time, then that Kearley save earns us a point that could legitimately get us promotion. Don't know how Watts has missed the open goal that was left either, by the way. I think that threatened the coaches outside more than it threatened the goal. But yeah, long ball, I think it was Walsh, a long ball into Longwake, heads it down. Clark's clean through. Okay, he's on his left foot, but, he's got to work the goalkeeper an awful lot more than what he does, or just slide it back in 6-yard box. Cal Naismith and Jerry Yates are both stood there, sorry. No one, the Plymouth defence has been well beaten. They've held their line on the penalty area, and the head has come down. If he finds one of them two, it's a tap in, and we've been crap for the most part. But you know what? We've picked up a point that keeps us a point closer to the playoffs, keeps an unbeaten run going, keeps the momentum going. But he doesn't. Really poor touch. Goalkeeper smothers it, and before we get a chance to take the corner, the referee's blown for full time, and it's, in many ways, it probably summed up the afternoon. First touch was just criminal for so much from so many.
Yeah, well off it, everybody really. It's one of the, all the big points are frustrating, but it's the little points of the basics of not being able to control the ball and not passing in front of your player to keep the momentum going, and not being able to.
You're talking about passes to Shaden Morris there, aren't you? I mean,
yes.
Crikey. He needs to go and get Inspector Gadget's left leg. The amount of times he has to keep on coming back and stretching to keep the ball in. And of course, in injury time, there was a pass to him that Galloway spotted about 5 minutes before it was played, and then goes up into the other end of into the corner flag, and then good old Jerry Yates just barges him over. I mean, that's really going to help us get an equaliser, isn't it?
Just all those accumulative basics, when they go wrong, and they go wrong so very frequently this season, but now more acutely away, they build up because you're not feeling like they've got the forward momentum to try and get back into the game in any way, because those little things, those little micro things, stop that, and teams can get back into their shape a bit more, and and stop that. And when you're playing away, you need to be able to counter with effectiveness. None of that was happening. But at the same time, you get that last chance with Clark, and you think, well, if you can steal something, it changes the whole complexion. We can still talk about how bad the performance was, but you go, oh, well, lucky us, we stole something, and that's okay. But we've seen too many of those afternoons where when one thing doesn't go right, another thing doesn't go right, and it all doesn't go right. And that was one.
Yeah, indeed. The irony would have been if we'd scored from a long ball and a header down, because that's the antichrist of the football that Jack Wilshere wants to play. In fact, it was the one time in that entire afternoon we wasn't predictable, because the rest of our play was so predictable, Jimbo. It was, like I just said, Galloway saw a pass to Sheed and Morris coming 5 minutes before it was played. We all did, because that was it in the second half. Naismith to Anderson, Anderson to Naismith, Naismith to Kearley, Kearley to Naismith, Kearley to Anderson. Oh, finally we'll go forward. Anderson to Morris. Morris is a left foot. If he managed to keep it in, happy days. If he didn't, they've got to throw in. If he does keep it in, Galloway's right up his backside. It's got to go back to Longwake. Then we'll go to Anderson. Then we'll go to Naismith.
Oh
then we'll go back to Anderson. Have I put you to sleep yet?
Because
it puts me to sleep watching it, Jimbo. Now, we had 6 minutes of injury time, and there were 4 passages of that play, and we're 1-0 down. Every single throw-in we took in injury time, we had to wait for the right back or the left back to take it. Morris, just take the bloody thing. It's going to end up with them anyway, so you might as well throw it to them. But,
yeah,
we kill that time. What does Longwake do with it? At no stage ever does he throw a ball down the line. Nope. Straight back to Anderson. Johnson, straight back to Naismith. We're 1-0 down. There's no urgency. Finally, 5.5 minutes into injury time, with crowd starting to boo and everything, Walsh just launches the thing into the box. And finally, we win a header. And finally, we get a chance on goal. And we miss it. 5.5 minutes of 6 minutes of injury time to stop piddling about with it at the back. And it's starting to it winds people up. I understand that we've got a pattern of play. I understand that pattern of play is worked on religiously, and therefore, more often than not, it's that pattern of play that's going to create something. But when you are into the 95th minute and it's created the square root of one chance, try something different. Now, credit to them, they did, and they got their reward, or should have got their reward. But all this tippy-tappy, slowly catchy monkey, that's not what's got us all these goals at home recently.
No, it was very direct and pacey and all the good stuff that we like to see. And I thought that we'd moved away from that because it made the crowd restless. It made Kenilworth Road restless. So it's going to make all fans feel that way when they see that style of play. And it's not this division. I mean, if you can do that and marry it with a ruthless edge, fine. Maybe that's what Cardiff are doing. Fine, look what they are. But we have not got a ruthless edge. Unless Gideon Kadir scores. Kodja, sorry. Unless he scores. But he ain't going to score that many isolated out on a wing. Stick him in the centre, see what happens. Because we have seen what happens.
Yeah, indeed. The other thing that can't happen away from home too often, Jimbo, is Walsh and Clark alongside each other. There's just no physicality there. They're going to get overrun by every single home midfield this season. They're not going to come up against Man.
That's the thing, though, isn't it? Because that physicality was there at home, and we were praising them for it.
Yeah, but we've kind of got an intimidatory factor at home, haven't we? Teams don't come out. Teams at Kenilworth Road, they don't attack in quite the same number. It's all about making sure we get back behind the ball and everything when they're at Kenilworth Road. Whereas away from home, it's all about being on the front foot and them getting forward. So, you can cope at home because they might press one of the two, but they're not going to press both of them. Well, away from home, they are going to press both of them, and neither of them have got any physicality at all. You asked, I think it was you that asked about Lamine Fanny in the pre-match press conference. I'll keep my comments about what I thought of the answers to myself, but he's got to play away from. If he doesn't play at home, then that's fine. But he's got to play away from home. We have got no physicality in that midfield.
Yeah, I agree, and they've got to spot that now. They've got to see that it's not worked. Very short amount time to turn it around. They always talk about too many minutes and managing all that stuff. Then he's got to play it, Huddersfield, hasn't he? Got to.
Yeah, I mean, they can talk about too many minutes and all this, that and the other, but you ain't got many minutes left of the season, lads. And if promotion is the aim, you need to find some points. Points over minutes, you know? And to be fair to Jack, he's admitted that he didn't want to take Jordan Clark off at Reading when we'd just scored a second goal. We'd have scored a third goal. You knew it, I knew it, they knew it, everyone knew it. But the minutes told him that he had to come off. Well, that's 2 points that we've dropped by going by the minutes. Lamine Fanny didn't miss out yesterday because of minutes, because he didn't play at all last Saturday and he got took off at half-time against Swindon, as Jack alluded to why. At half-time against Stevenage in the game before it, and Jack alluded to why. If he's not fresh after and he didn't play at Exeter either, did he? He was being saved for the Doncaster game that is going to take place sometime in end of February. If he's not fresh now, then he'll never be fresh. So he wasn't saved yesterday because of a lack of minutes. He's peed off Jack with his performances and hasn't been selected, but we're cutting off our nose to spite our face, as we are with a lot of the people that was on that bench yesterday. Our best defender was on that bench yesterday. Absolutely horrendous on the ball. Don't get me wrong. But do you know what? So are 2 others in that back 4, and they're still playing. 2 best wingers, or 2 of our better wingers, sat on that bench from the start yesterday, and our best central midfielder, in physicality terms, was sat on our. And all of those would have been useful to the game of football that played out in front of us.
Yeah, they would, and particularly fun when you see the size of the Plymouth players and what they're going to bring. You're going to need somebody in there to take some of that heat off the other midfielders. Again, I think it probably comes down to understanding the league more. He's never been in this league.
He's been in it 3 months. They're all much of a muchness, aren't they?
He has, but this learning curve, which is a learning curve, it has to be steeper. I mean, they have to be able to get over it. Right? Is that the right term? That's not what I mean. They have to be able to acknowledge what the league is and find the tools to tackle the league and the teams and the players in this league, rather than being rigid in, well, this is what we're gonna play. We're gonna keep the ball, which we do. We keep the ball more than I've probably ever seen. I told you that last week was the anniversary of me covering my first game 20 years ago. In all that time, I don't think I've ever seen us keep the ball as much. Maybe I'm wrong, and I've got the memories wrong from way back in the early of those 20 years, early days. But we're not doing enough with it, and that's the main thing. Whereas Plymouth had 30-something%, didn't they? And they had more shots than us. So you do the math.
Yeah, I mean, just on passing, 479 Luton passes yesterday were attempted. It's a good stat, that. 479 passes, so, just use normal mathematical terms, that's 5.3 passes per minute. That's not too bad. Where the problem lies, though, Jimbo, Kearley, Longwick, Anderson and Naismith played 258 of them. So the rest of the team played 221. Now I have nothing against those 4. I've criticised, 3 of those 4 a few times this season, but I've nothing against them. But I don't want them passing the football.
I do have something against them, but only that. I don't want them passing the football. And every time that they broke that spell of passing sideways to each other and went forward, we did it badly and we lost it because we lost the jewels.
Don't you start with jewels. But enough of that word. I mean, talking of jewels,
50-50s.
Codger's crown jewels took a bit of a battering yesterday, didn't they? From that cross from Curtis. He didn't half belt it. I mean, even I winced. In cricket, everyone laughs when they get hit in that direction, but poor sod. Another afternoon to forget, sadly, and all of these statistics that we've come up with on this podcast, you've seen and heard them all before, because it's a regular occurrence, and hopefully something changes. Definition of insanity and all that. And let's hope something can change by Tuesday, and we'll cover Tuesday in the next podcast, which we'll do for a preview of that game. Well done to David Coop for getting 1-0 to Plymouth. He went with reverse psychology as well, as Jimbo did too. And I just say with gritted teeth that he got it right, albeit I'm kind of glad that he didn't want to get it right, as I suspect David didn't either. But yeah, no, well done. Leaderboard will be up in the preview of the Huddersfield game, which will come along Tuesday morning. Yeah, not a day to live long in the memory, Jimbo.
Yeah, I take no joy in that score prediction, really getting it right. It's where we are, though, isn't it?
It is indeed. Yep. Yeah. 4 away wins, 2 draws, 7 defeats. Got to improve if what we've been told is the minimum requirement this season is to be achieved. That's for sure. That's it for this episode of the podcast. Thanks to everyone who did come up to me yesterday and say how much you enjoy the podcast, particularly those who were local to Devon, who said that they can't get to many home games and that we're their sort of eyes and ears for much of the season. It's our pleasure to be that, and we'll continue to do that for this season and hopefully many seasons to come. Thanks also to the folks here at Marsh House, the new home of the Luton Town Supporters Trust podcast. Really appreciate your support, guys, particularly this week when we're going to be in here most days. Lots of podcasts to come. And also to Sean Grant and our Wolfgang for our intro music. Until next time, which will be a preview of season-defining game at Huddersfield. From Jimbo and myself, please, anything for an away win, Town, please.